Hello, students. I want to talk about the last two problems that are more critical thinking. First, I had said that these are, challenging problems, but they are not, it's just the issue of understanding them. And it says that we have some, people here who are financially stable. And you see a lot of extra information in finance. Sometimes you get a lot of extra information that might not be, these numbers might not be as important of as finding the answers to this. Even just you can look at all of these as these are two stable people, or a stable person who wants to invest. Which now the question is, which one of these investments gives you the highest return? And the answer is small cap stocks. And a small cap cap means capitalization, which means what is the if someone wants to buy, let's say the company of Walmart, how much that person has to pay for to buy all the shares of Walmart. Each Walmart share is $100. And imagine Walmart has 1 billion shares. If it has 1 billion shares, if you want to buy Walmart, you have to pay $100 billion to buy all the shares of Walmart. Therefore, they say that the market capitalization of Walmart might be $100 billion. You multiply the number of shares with the price of the stocks of that company. That's called, market capitalization. Large cap stocks means that those are big companies that you have to pay a lot of money if you want to buy all of their shares. That's called large cap. Mid cap is usually they have more than $100 million in value the stocks of them. If you put all of them together, the value most likely will go above 100 million, $200 million. As you all know, Nvidia has reached to $5 trillion. I heard that's the excuse me, the largest market cap company in the world at the moment. Even more than after that is Microsoft. After that is excuse me, is Apple. These are above $3 trillion company in the US. Now, the answer is small cap companies give a greater return, but my advice is that don't go and right away invest in small cap excuse me, companies simply because this problem told you a small cap companies. A small cap means a smaller companies. Sometimes the smaller companies, give you a faster and they move quicker and they might go bankrupt as well. If I am a good investor, I prefer to put it in large, cap companies. And my advice to all of you, if you are investing, if you are new, you always want to make sure to put your money in very famous and well-known companies. Excuse me, Costco, Walmart, and these days everybody likes to invest in technology companies because they go up quickly. Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, particular these days, but of course they might, a company like Nvidia, it has gone so quickly, so high that many people have become rich in investing in that large cap company, and therefore another company called Palantir. That's one of the best performing companies, and now it has become hundreds of billions of dollars. But let's not forget that Nvidia, Apple, and Microsoft are in $1 trillion. Therefore, if you are investing small cap companies, sometimes might give you quick money, but as my advice to you, try to stay away from small cap companies until you become very, very sophisticated and can analyze them and you can have significant amount of information. Therefore, they can be very risky. We come here and consider she wants to have a satisfactory return. The satisfactory return, I would, blue chip stocks. Let's talk about what it mean. Each one of these mean. Blue chip stocks are the stocks of the company that are very big. Well, you already heard. If I ask you what are the major companies in the U.S., your answer again would be maybe Apple, maybe Microsoft, maybe Google. Usually, blue chips are the ones that they give dividends also, regular dividends, and they have huge market cap. Growth stocks are the ones that the value of stocks go up quickly And of course, many people like growth stocks, but many others like blue chips because these blue chips sometimes carry less risk. These growth stocks, as they grow fast, suddenly they might drop. Speculative stocks are the ones that go up and down quickly, and they might give you a lot of return, but they might, fall, suddenly they fall very fast, and you might lose significant amount of money. You all have heard of Bitcoin. Of course, Bitcoin is not necessarily a stock. You have heard of how it goes up, how it goes down. These are called speculative, investments. As I said, Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. It's not a stock, but those of you who are interested to buy some, ETFs, exchange traded funds, there is something called IBIT, IBIT, and that is around $62. Those of you who have a Schwab account, if you have $62, you want to have exposure to cryptocurrency, you may buy one share of them, pay $62 for it. And then as the Bitcoin goes up, they go up and they come back. Therefore, that is something for. But we highly recommend to stay away from speculative stocks. And then corporate bonds. Corporate bonds is that we said bonds are the ones that these are stocks. These are called equity. That means ownership of the company. When you have stocks, you have the ownership of the company. When you buy bonds, the meaning of it is that you are giving your money, you are lending, they are borrowing, the companies are borrowing money from you. I'm going to send you a video regarding bonds to learn about them. We have different bonds. One is called, treasury bonds. And that is when you give the money to the federal government. We have corporate bonds. That means companies need money. Companies like Microsoft, if they need money, they prefer to come to the investors and say, therefore, when you buy bonds, you are not the owners, just like when you own, when you buy stocks, you are the owner of the company. But when you are, buying bonds, you are not the owner. You are just a lender. You give your money to them, they give you coupon, they give you interest, and at the end, they will give your money back. And municipal bonds. And municipal bonds, let's say here, let's say a small town, town of Moorfield needs some money. Therefore, they come and, they want to borrow from you. That is a kind of smaller government rather than federal government. Federal government treasury bonds. That's for federal government. Therefore, we have different types of bonds. One of them is when you give your money to corporations, when you give your money to the local governments or state governments, and that's another time you might give your money to the federal government. Each one of them carries a little risk, of course. If you want to buy corporate bonds, it's better to buy bonds of the important companies. You don't want to give your money to a crazy company tomorrow they go bankrupt and not to give your money back. Therefore, it is good. I will send you a video to learn about how these bonds are calculated for those of you who want to be familiar with. Therefore, I put questions in ChatGPT, and if they want to, invest, what we call blue chip stocks, they are more satisfactory. They give some dividends. They have growth. They don't have as much growth that growth stocks, but they go up. So you might be wondering why someone would invest in this and not to invest in growth stock. You might say, aren't they crazy that they don't put in growth? The reason is that these growth stocks, they come with their own risk. And of course, these are the riskiest. Some people don't want to take a risk. They want to base, as you put your money in the bank and you want this, the security, you want, insurance, FDIC insurance for your money. Some people would rather to invest in safe stocks, which is, are here, and rather than putting on growth stocks. And, some students bought stocks of, I encourage them to buy stocks of SoundHound. Those of you who received $50 from me, and they bought, some of them bought that at $8, $9, $10. Now those stocks are at $17, $18. That's a high growth stock, but it is it's somewhat speculative, not very speculative, but they were lucky that it went up, But many investors prefer to be in the safe side. Then describe the factors that can alternate be mix of investment vehicles for them. In long term, they prefer, let me see what it is. The best mix of investment vehicle for particular investor depends on their tolerance for risk at time horizon. Long-term investor all prefer less risk. Where they want to keep their money, and short-term investor, they take risk taker. And it is reasonable for Wendy to invest in retirement fund. Definitely, if the person has a lot of money, you always want to, excuse me, to invest in your retirement fund. The students who are smart are going to take the retirement account like IRA very seriously. If you invest regularly, you are going to hopefully have a lot of money in your retirement. And let me go again to the problem of the chapter. I don't want. Okay, at least I want to create. I will create another video for the other question.